Thank you guys for the opportunity to speak again. I always enjoy sharing with you. And today, because I was required to give a title, because somebody kept texting me, I settled on Be Great. And I know that Be Great is not the most exciting title. It actually sounds fairly boring. I mean, because, who doesn't want to be great? And, be great, like Nike, just go and do it. But the reality is, it is far more challenging to be great than one would think. So, years ago, I had a dream, and I'm not hearkening Martin Luther King, even though it is February, but I had a dream. And my dream, when I was going through undergrad, was that one day I would work on films, visually stimulating films. I was fascinated with the creation of new worlds, and that fascination drew me into visual effects. And as a student at Emerson College, I, along with other matriculating or creatives, would drool over the trailers for movies like The Matrix and Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, because they were doing things that people couldn't even conceive, and using technology to create spaces that could only come out of imagination. So I thought that I would one day do that. I was geared up to become a visual arts director. So at the end of my tenure at Emerson, I had the option to move to Burbank because the school had a satellite there. So I moved to California from Boston and discovered how much I hated traffic and smog and not being able to walk because I got really spoiled not having to drive everywhere. And I had put out my application to 2 different firms. And being that, as I said, I was a creative, so I designed a logo with my initials and created a CD-ROM, which probably means that I'm dating myself because they don't even exist anymore. But I created a CD-ROM that had my projects on them. And I shopped them around. I got 2 callbacks. One was from this really mediocre company that nobody knew about. They were so chintzy that they were sharing their software cross-licensing. That is so illegal. And then there was the other. The other one was much closer to the place where I was living. And they were actually the ground crew in Hollywood that was working on the second Lord of the Rings. So as I sat in the office, I could look around and see all the remnants and the little memorabilia that they had from that work. It took me on a tour of the studio, showed me the equipment, and I was in awe. I had worked for this moment. I got called back from both of them. The one that was great, that had a movie that I absolutely loved. I mean, I was that kid who was sitting in the corner going, because you gotta get the voice right. If any of you have watched the film, that is Gollum, and he is drooling over that ring. If you have not seen the film, you should do it. Like, just spend a whole day doing it, because that's what I used to do. I would sit on the couch and I would just watch movie after movie after movie, and it takes several hours, so you really have to be dedicated. So as I'm pondering over what to do, between the one that I had dreamed of and the one that I didn't even know about, I chose the one I didn't know about. How anticlimactic is that? That decision haunts me. And that was years ago. Like a significant number of years. I've gotten like a couple more degrees since then. But it haunts me because my reason for choosing to not go with the company that did Lord of the Rings the movie that I love, that I could dedicate hours and hours and hours of cerebral time to, was because I was afraid that I could not handle that level of greatness. I was afraid. And my fear imprisoned my dream, and I cannot recapture that moment. And I'm not sharing that story because I want you guys to walk out of here feeling super bad for me, going, well, how did she end up here? Or dang. I'm sharing it because we all have moments that we wish we had captured. And we let them slip through our fingers like sand because we assume that we can't make it. We assume that we don't have the capacity to live out that moment. But we do. If we exhibit or grant ourselves just a bit of grace to not be perfect.